For me now, we've got some fresh water, so get those questions in for Paul, #onland. Paul, thanks for joining us in the green room.
You're welcome.
That seemed to go really well. Some fantastic images there.
Thank you.
And this tiptoe into colour, tell us a little bit about that then. How easy has that been?
It's not been difficult because I didn't set myself a challenge to do it. What I did was, it was one of them things that, you know, as a result of embracing digital, the colour information and the raw file of the camera was presented to me. So I was allowed to either choose it or not choose it, use it or not use it. And you know, first and foremost, I started shooting digital but sticking to black and white. And then when I decided, on my own whim and my own will, to add a little bit of colour, I chose to do that. And that's why I've enjoyed it. There wasn't a pressure on me to do it. I've just enjoyed doing it, you know, as and when I wanted.
Paul Gotts asks, red or blue?
Red.
With the red shirt, yeah, it had to come in.
I'm
had to be
surprised
asked.
anyone knew from Liverpool.
And Jim Robertson, who's been joining us, I think he's in Lossiemouth. He says he's from North East Scotland and wonders if you've ever explored that coast, how you found it.
Briefly. It's a beautiful part of Scotland. All of Scotland's fantastic. I've not explored as much as I should have done, actually. And it's one of the areas I'll probably go up and explore. Because I've done the West Coast a heck of a lot now, and North and Eastern Scotland, which I've driven through quite a few times and photographed briefly, it's always been one of them things that I'll probably explore it because it's not as like dominant as the Northwest, and it's a bit more subdued, and that's the kind of thing I'm enjoying doing. So yeah, I probably will go up there. And
you've talked a lot in there about risks and challenges. What's the most challenging kind of terrain or area that you've been in?
It's probably working with ice, actually, in the Arctic. I know I mentioned it during the talk there. But if you're on the edge of the Atlantic or some of the Norwegian fjords, and you don't know where you see, you're walking over like snowdrifts, and you're not quite sure where your feet are going to end up. That can be challenging. It's challenging because you're trying to control the camera with the cold. It's challenging because things get misted up, and you can get snowflakes on wet gear and all that. And it's challenging to maintain concentration when you're freezing. When the core temperature goes down, that's not easy to do that.
And you were talking about the spray from the sea on the lens and all the rest of it. I mean, you obviously have to put yourself at risk to take some of these photographs. Yeah. Do you ever worry you're not going to come back from one of these expeditions?
I don't think that'll ever happen, but they might do. I don't know. No, I do push. I like to push myself, because if you go into situations or environments that other people don't often go to, then you're photographing the landscape that most people don't see. And so it's something completely different. And I do push. I mean, many times I've been drowned virtually in the sea, you know, with big waves coming in and stuff, caught in blizzards and things like that. I do my fair share of nice places on good days as well. But like I mentioned throughout the lecture, is the weather plays a big part for me. I'm not a fair weather photographer, really, and them storms and all that are fantastic. I mean, recently I've just been photographing in Death Valley. It was 52 degrees in Death Valley.
Wow, that's really
that was
hot,
the opposite
isn't it?
ends of the challenge.
Yeah,
completely
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you said about having time and patience, and obviously the frustrations. Is the weather your biggest frustration?
It's actually, do you know, no, it's the weather. You work with it, and you've got to respect it. You've got to understand that's nature doing its own things. So getting frustrated, that will make you more frustrated because you can't control it. I think the thing really, the frustration for me, is that if you know somewhere's beautiful, you're surrounded by an environment that's absolutely outstanding, and yet you can't seem to make sense of it yourself. And that's the most frustrating time as a photographer. You've got the time, you're there with the equipment that can capture the environment, and you think it's beautiful, and you think, how can I make sense of it? And that's probably one of the most frustrating things, you know, because we don't get a lot of time off.
No, absolutely. Now, Dorcas was asking earlier, she asked David in the previous session, this business of landscape photographers being referred to as documentary photographers. She'd like to see that reversed. How do you describe yourself as a photographer?
Landscape document, what is it? I mean, I photograph the landscapes that mean something to me, that I connect with. Anyone can put a label, whatever the label they want to put on it. They call me an animal photographer or like I photograph what I love. I photograph in the conditions that I love. And so I'd still describe myself as a person that photographs the landscape. If that gives me the label of a landscape photographer, that's fine. But I've always been kind of, you know, one way in what I want to do, you know, in terms of photography. you know, it was like black and white. I did black and white when no one was doing black and white. It wasn't in vogue. It was quite an old hat, really. So I've always been determined to do what I wanted to do, regardless of what people would label me as.
So where's next? Where's your next photography challenge?
Oh, goodness me. Well, I'm going to be out to Canada, I think. I'm going to go back into the Arctic. Lofoten and Iceland. I'm definitely going out to them places. And I can feel South America calling, Patagonia around there.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm an alpaca lady, so you need to get out to Peru and do some animal photography as
I'll
well.
bring you
Do some
some back.
alpacas. That'd be fantastic. That would be wonderful. And just to wrap up, but what's it been like being part of this conference? You know, what are you hoping to get out of being here?
Just, you know, the conversations with people are the big reward. I mean, Aspect, who I'm, the landscape photography, which is my company, we run workshops, is here now. The Epsom Print Academy, which I run, is here now. And we're interacting with people, and hopefully we'll take people away with us, and then they'll come and I can teach the photography. But the main thing, at the essence of the whole thing, is getting people together to talk about landscape photography. It's one of the most popular forms of photography. And this is the first of its kind. Long may it continue.
Yeah, brilliant. Paul, thank you very much indeed. We are having a conversation with you internationally. We're still looking for your questions. We want you to talk to us. #OnLand. Don't forget, we're watching all your tweets coming in. Paul has finished his session, so we've seen what else he can get out of today. We're going to go and see if we can talk to some of our exhibitors and bring you some of that while we have a break for lunch. And David Clapp will be here at 2 o'clock. He'll be talking about his career, his development, and the diversification that he's done within his photography career. So stay with us. Remember #OnLand, and we'll see you shortly.